Alright, and we're off. Welcome to Zelda, Legend of Zelda Oracle season. Story, it's a little bit after the Latix timeline. Link gets sent off to these random worlds where the villain decides to either throw off the seasons, throw off the time. This particular one, we're going to see some messed up seasons. First, we got to do a little bit of chatting, then have a little bit of a dance with Din, the Oracle of Seasons. Right now, no items, no fun. Just a bit of text mashing, a little bit of a cutscene. Anyways, enter Onyx. Decides to get rid of all our little friends that we just made. Kidnaps them, takes her to his castle, traps her in a crystal, and causes the Temple of Seasons to sink underground. And this apparently throws off all the seasons in the world. People are a little bit confused about what's going on. Alright, after a long cutscene, takes about 2.5 minutes, we finally get control of Link again. Puts us right outside town. The town here is the only place where the seasons are randomized whenever you enter them. So ideally, we will never see Winter walking into that, except for this time on Gesellschaft's side. Notably later on, it's like what Winter does, as you can see, it puts a lot of random snow piles everywhere, so you can't just travel across. The next few visits into the town, having winter means you have to take a few extra stream transitions, and adds up quite a bit of time throughout the run. And so we enter our first little mini dungeon, just so we can get our sword. Just focusing on tight movement, trying to avoid the mini-easel to not slow you down. And we did not see anybody get trapped by his old son, so we're pretty good. We'll see what he's in Phoenomenom gets when he goes back in town. So we want to see anything but Winter, so that our path to the tree here is pretty free. Alright, so with our newfound sword, we slash this gate and it just opens up for us. And we come across the sleeping tree, the Mako tree. He charges us with this task to get all the essences of seasons and restore balance to this world again. And in the process gives us a key to the very first dungeon of the game. So originally, Oracle of Seasons started off as a remake of the first Zelda. You'll see a lot of cameos from a lot of the Zelda 1 bosses. One from Link to the Past, and then one from a completely different series for whatever reason. And then in this dungeon right here, the first one, Gnawed Root Dungeon, it has particularly strong reference or similarities to the very first dungeon in Zelda 1. It's like, the layout is still the same, it still has that eagle layout. First boss is Aquamentus. When he's naked. In this dungeon, we'll just grabbing a few keys, get the item and a big key, then try to get some manipulation going on the RNG later on. Phoenomenom is destroying some of the Zulls. This manipulates for something. He's going for the power ring level 2 or the power. Yeah. Anyways, he needs to get a maple drop as soon as he leaves this dungeon, or a maple encounter, Maple the Witch. He does this right after this dungeon. He has to kill right around 30 enemies to trigger that encounter. And overall, keys seem to be playing nice for both runners. And another thing with the manipulation phenomenon we're going to be going for in a little bit is he does have to make sure he gets at least 1 rupee, or that throws off the drop patterns later on. Gesellschaft, I imagine she'll be going for the heart ring, and that was a really nice fight for the Moblins mini boss. Goal on that fight is to have your bomb explode at the right time so it double hits that blue Moblin. They essentially share their same HP, as in you kill one of them, they both die, but they have independent HP as far as you can't just attack one and then attack the other to finish it off. Little optimization on menuing. So whenever you enter and exit through these fade out transitions, if you need a menu, that's the best time to do that. Just says a few frames. Alright, so Phoenomenon, he's getting ready to start the RNG manipulation. Every time you do a hard reset where you see that BIOS screen at the beginning, it resets the RNG counter, and it goes through a set pattern. There's a few things that advance that RNG. One of them is sword slashes, other is some of the enemy movements, and how long you are on the title screen before getting to the file select screen. The manipulation that he's looking for is very early into that, so you have to be able to advance past that title screen probably within about 4 or 5 frames, so you can get on the RNG you want. Whenever they load the dungeon again, they'll be doing a few sword slashes, since the slash it makes is also RNG. So they're basically listening for the first high-pitched sword slash. What that does is, it manipulates the skeletons that are by the torches you need to do, and it also manipulates Aquamentus so you never see a dash attack that just wastes a lot of time where you can't hurt him again. But that's not all that it does. So the goal is they're going to be holding on to this manipulation to control RNG on every single screen up until they get the next item in Dungeon 2. Gesellschaft didn't get the spin. Can't hear the slashes on my end, so a little bit off, but that's okay. Okay, Phoenomenon beating Another thing that advances RNG is that little kid right before that tree that got burnt down. That also advances RNG every time he throws it. So it had a small little risk of losing the RNG manipulation right there. Makes it through right there. The RNG manipulation manipulates the sign to drop a red rupee. It also manipulates Rosa to do the faster of the two patterns she can do on each screen. Yep, and then as she's trying to find her way around, it does not look suspicious at all. Just another day wandering a few random trees, making sure nobody's looking for you. But Link is ultra stealthy, so she never finds him. And then as a result, we get to see this portal that takes us to a whole new world that's underground, Subrosia. This is where the Temple of Seasons has sunk into when Din got kidnapped. And then from that we're gonna get the Rod of Seasons. But during the fall it did lose all its powers, so we had to find ways to let it do stuff again. Fortunately for us, there is a tower on the bottom right of the temple, and it's going to give us the power of winter. Oh yeah, also at this point, when you first enter Subrosia, the game expects you to go left, play this minigame that eats quite a bit of time, just so you can get the boomerang. But since we got those bombs from Dungeon 1 and have kept good use of our good management of our bombs, we can just use that to hit that switch and skip the level 1 boomerang altogether. Alright, so the powers for the Rod of Seasons. So, right before we entered for Subrosia, you saw that little stump that the runners were hopping on and off. Whenever you use the Rod on that, that lets you switch it to other seasons. It always cycles through the natural order of the seasons if you have that power. And so, since we only have winter, every time you use the Rod, it's going to change the season to winter. And then that manipulation that Phoenomenom started earlier, he is still on that. It's still going to manipulate the path to Dungeon 2 so the enemies stay out of his way. Listening for 3 mid-slashes there. Meanwhile, Gesellschaft not too far behind, got her power of winter. Gonna make her way over to Dungeon 2. She did drop the manipulation on the Aquamentus fight, so the enemy patterns gonna be a little bit more, well, are gonna be a bit more random. And with these moblins, they can fire their arrows at any time they want, and they are really good at getting their spears just to connect with you, like on the fly. And then that hurt her Phoenomenon, so most likely off the manipulation now, but that's fine. Lasted quite a bit, most of the way there. Just a few more screens left into Dungeon 2. Alright, little detour to grab a key so you can get up here to the top where the power bracelet is hiding. I was gonna see if he can get that bomb to connect with them still. Ooh, nice. So he was already off the manipulation at this point, and he still got a pretty favorable pattern. So just like that, he just needs to make a few trips to get one more key out of the way, that's a little bit out of the way, and then so we can have enough keys to make it to the boss of this dungeon. Just like in Dungeon 2 of the original Zelda, the boss here is Dodongo. It's going to have a little bit of a twist. Oh no, missed one of the bombs, so a little bit better just to reset there, since there's not really a convenient bomb drop unless you were to stock up on bombs right before resetting out of the power bracelet. You need 6 bombs to make it through this little maze here. And then there is a little bit of a timer that you have to beat, but it's pretty lenient, so as long as you don't miss a lot of bombs, you'll be perfectly fine. You just don't want to run out of bombs in here. And Dory gets her power bracelet. Alright, so final part of the dungeon. This back little entrance is still just a few screens away from the main entrance. But saving and quitting from any part sends you back to the main entrance of this dungeon. And coming up is the primary reason why we do speedruns in the Japanese version of this game. In the Japanese version of the game, there's supposed to be a boss there that's in the middle that Phenomenon's just throwing bombs at. It doesn't spawn unless you're using like another tile down. So, rather than dealing with the RNG that can add a lot of time to this fight, we just throw bombs on the floor, facade gets hit, and then we're done. This dungeon also introduces some of the fun little rotating platform puzzles. Seasons overall isn't very big on dungeons. It's a lot more about execution and action is one it's designed. Its partner game, or Oracle of Ages, and it is very puzzle intensive. And just like that, we are outside the boss room, getting ready to fight Dodongo. Much like Zelda 1, you have to get bombs in his mouth. But this time there's a pit of spikes you have to throw him into after he gets bloated. He really likes those bomb snacks, but it doesn't treat his body very well. Alright, we saw Phoenomenom opted not to go for that power level ring after Dungeon 1. And then we might see Gesellschaft do a manipulation on after Dungeon 2 to get the heart ring. Got a little bit confused on where she needs to go with that platform, but that's okay. I'm getting Winter out of this. Unfortunately, not too big of a time loss as in other trips to the village, since he need that visit to the tree below the ring shop. It is very intentional. We need to use that tree a couple times later on, once we get the Gale seeds. But first, along the way to Dungeon 3, we have to get some items to make an animal friend happy. And pick up some seeds for much later on. Meanwhile, we'll see how the Gesellschaft Dodongo fight goes. And Phenomon having a little bit of issue with Bueno. The little bully that steals, or gloves from a kangaroo. Some of the reactions on that fight is interesting. You just need to knock him out of the little boxing ring to win. And Gesellschaft's cleaning up Dungeon 2 quite nicely. So in both the Oracles games, there are 3 different animal buddies that you can get. One is a kangaroo, one is a little dinosaur, and one's a bear that can fly, apparently. The movement from Ricky the kangaroo is very slow and really hard to control. It's like whenever Ricky hops, or his transition, if he's hopping still, you must wait until the hop is done. So there's a little bit of optimization that can be done on that movement, and his general movement is just really slow. But to have access to all the other animals, that's your primary animal, you have to go do a lot of things out of the way, and just eats up a lot of time. So Ricky's just on the way, so we might as well just grab him. And meanwhile, Gesellschaft, she's setting up the heart ring manipulation from Maple. How Maple works, she has a set number of different rings that she can possibly have. And that is all determined by RNG, so we saw a hard reset from Gesellschaft to get herself on the right pattern again. And then the transition set the items, and then she did flea slashes to manipulate where Maple ends up, and to affect the drop pattern itself as well. And then what this heart ring to that Gesellschaft's about to get right now is, after so many steps, the heart ring, it replenishes your life. So Phoenomenom, since he does not have the heart ring, he has to be very careful on on the rest of the dungeons. Starting Dungeon 3 and especially Dungeon 4, health can be very concerning at times, and enemies start to hit quite a bit harder. But with that heart rune that the Gesellschaft has, dying becomes a lot less of a possibility. I mean, it's still very possible. This game can be pretty hard. But being able to replenish hearts every so many steps is a great help for survivability. Alright, and then Phenomenon's entering the cave right now. It has a square jewel in it. This isn't used for a few more dungeons. To get into Dungeon 6, there is a wall that is locked by four gems of different shapes. But since we're already nearby some of these locations, we might as well just grab it while we're here, because it takes so much time to come back later. And what Phenomenom's looking for, he's looking for a star ore. Looks like it is his 4th dig, unfortunately. The places that he digs are the 4 possible locations that ore can be. And what the star ore does is, let's just hop into this shop here, this little market, and so we can buy a bow so we can go on his first date. But Link, he knows that this particular girl has a key to every door in Subrosia, so he just kind of takes advantage of that. Goes to places he wants to go only. Like the Temple of Seasons again. And look, he's even trying to run away. But Roses stays pretty hot on his heels. Doesn't want to let him go. So the Pegasus sees that Roses grabbed a little bit to go. So unlike a lot of the other Zelda games where you get boots that let you dash for whenever you want, the Oracle series, they decide to give you seeds instead that let you run for a few seconds at a faster speed. This next dungeon, there's really no place to get extra seeds, so this has to last them until the end of Dungeon 3. So, a critical part of routing is the rest of the game is knowing how many seeds you can use, where you can use them, and just maximizing each use of a seed. Oh, then we get the power of summer here, and then Link gets what he wants, so he just kind of bails. Because he definitely wants to save the world at some point, right? Alright, so this long detour so we can get summer. Dungeon 3 is right above this, so we need Summer down there. What Summer does is it grows these vines and drains out a lot of water. So that gives us access to this dungeon. These little spiky enemies, the game, you're supposed to have shield for these, but shield will just work just as fine. You flip them over so we can attack them. So we just don't bother with the shield. Dungeon 3 has one of the hardest tricks in the games, or that isn't necessarily frame perfect at least. But we have to go through this room twice with all these floor masters. The time in which they spawn is set, and then the place they spawn is based on what direction Link is facing, whenever they spawn. Got most of the hands manipulation going on. Had to switch out to Zelda a little bit earlier than normal. Meanwhile, I missed what star location Gesellschaft got. Alright, so we got the first push puzzle of the game. We just have to make the bottom look like the top, and then we just know the fastest way to get through this room. Dungeon 3, it is basically about getting enough keys so you can get the item of this dungeon, the Rock's Feather. From there, let's just start doing a lot of things. There's a lot of wonky physics with the feather, especially when combined with Pegasus seeds. And there's a lot of places in the game where you have some really tight jumps that'll let you bypass quite a few things, or at the very least bypass some menus later on. Yep, and then the biggest time difference right now comes from Phoenomenom not picking up any rings, so it had no extra resets to try to manipulate any drops. And then Maple visits aren't necessarily fast either. But we see a Phoenomenom at about 1.5 hearts. With the heart ring, you do save at fairly high health for most of the run. So not too many times do you need to make a detour or a quick stop to refill on health from different pots and enemies. But the menu ring right here, right when you go downstairs, it delays the timer on the moving platforms a little bit just to make that jump easier so you don't have to wait an extra cycle. And now it's time for a trip into this floor master room, and we'll see if Phoenomenon gets the manipulation here. And shortly, Gesellschaft will be entering this dungeon as well. And at this point, we finally get to see the mini-boss of Dungeon 3. There's a bunch of little octopus-type things, squid things. Ideally, you want to get 4 slashes or 2 slashes in this bin before they return to the water. With the first one nearly dead already, it's not going to be too big a deal, but their hops are incredibly random, so it's really hard to react to that, especially with fireballs coming from the remaining ones whenever you're trying to do that. And then all that's left on Phenomenon side in this dungeon is grab the big key and then make it to the boss. And that boss is Mothula from A Link to the Past, the first dungeon that does not have a reference to the first Zelda. might feel a little bit friendlier than on Link to the Past. You don't have the random spikes to deal with, and especially no spikes to cancel any damage, but this time he has little holes that can knock us off. So basically a flying version of Moldorm. Meanwhile, the Gesellschaft's about to get her feather. Yep, and then Phoenomenom has to walk a little bit, but we use all the seeds just in time for the boss, and since we have that seed nearby, we can just refill right here. And then Phoenomenom, I'm entering an area that changes depending on which animal's foot you have. Just a little bit of a jump right there to get past that. And then Ricky is being called right now. Since he hops around a lot and can hop off cliffs. His movement his area is based on taking advantage of all that and being able to jump over holes. And Phoenomenon got really nice drops already. You would like to see a scent seed drop and a Pegasus seed drop within this little section, and Phoenomenon got those pretty fast, so he can just kind of focus on just making it to the next area and not worry about stopping and killing some of these cactus. And then Gesellschaft is making her way to the mini-boss. Meanwhile, Phoenomenon finds himself a sunken city. Gets himself some Gale Seeds. What this does, whenever Link is in the overworld and uses it from the satchel on himself, this will teleport him to any tree that he has visited beforehand. And Link decides he wants to ride a dinosaur, but those little bullies, they won't leave him alone unless Link gives him bombs. So, not sure how well that's going to work out in the end, but Link gets a dinosaur as part of that deal. Unfortunately not for very long. Alright, this puzzle that Phenomenom's doing. The game expects you to hit all 4 statues in one slash. But it was discovered that you just have to push one of them. As long as you just press B once, the game is going to count them all as being one slash. And then all this to get us some flippers so we can make our way over to Dungeon 4. Alright. Gesellschaft, she will be entering the Mothula fight around the same time that Phoenomenon gets into Subrosia. And this is from Subrosia. Whenever you hop across lava, these red and blue Subrosians, they decide to run into Link. Oh no, and Gesellschaft fall. So, just like Moldorm from Link to the Past, if you fall during this Mothula fight, the HP does get reset. So, meanwhile, Phenomenom side, he's playing hide and seek with these Subrosians now. They decided all they want to do with the feather is bury it for whatever reason. But this time around, this hide and seek game, it is not random at all. They do the same thing every single time. And there's really not much you can do doing these, so some runners like to dig against trees just to pass time. Some like to dig up holes and see if you get the little fire snake pillars to you spawn. So this is the chance for the run where runners get to show off some fun things. And your Gesellschaft does get Mothula down, and is going to be starting her trek over to Dungeon 4. Just a few more seconds till we can see where these Subrosians decide to hire a feather. And surprise, it's this giant block that is marked different. Doing a menu here to switch items before saving and resetting. Since every time you reset, whenever you go to the menu, your cursor's always gonna be on the top left. So he wanted to get that feather ready to go again before the reset. So just to save a little bit of time on menuing. Going for a little tight of a jump here. I imagine we'll see him go for a really tight jump along the way back. Now let's take a look at the seed drops on Giselle's side. I think I saw a scent seed drop there. So whenever you first get the seeds from the trees, each seed icon that you see or seed sprite you see gives you 6 for use. The boss in Dungeon 4 is the only boss that will ever see the scent seeds used for anything, and so having a couple extra out of the max of 20 instead of 18 helps out quite a bit for that boss. Alright, so Oracle Seasons, it is fairly unbroken, except for this little instance. Just like in Link's Awakening, you can clip about a pixel into different objects and pick things up through that. Right here is the only instance where that has any use in the game. There's no super jumping like you would see in Link's Awakening. But this just saves a screen transition, so you don't have to come down here and go all the way back up to the rooster. Just so we can give our favorite flying bear moose some bananas, so he'll be willing to walk around and fly for us again. Make a quick trip here, since as soon as we get the item that we need Moosh for, we need to come back this way to go on the way to Dungeon 4. So just might as well get that save and quit location reset. What the runner's going to be hoping for in this section here is hopefully get a bomb drop right there, since as soon as you enter Dungeon 4, you need that within about 30 seconds of entering the dungeon. Saves a little bit of time if you get that drop along the way, but if not, there's There's a chest with bombs that's not terribly far out of the way. So you can jump over 2 tile gaps in this game if you jump from them a little bit off centers, like where 2 tiles connect, rather than jumping down the middle of a tile. Alright, Dungeon 4. A lot of water in this stage. This dungeon is 2 major sections. You have this section so you can just get a key to use for the last part of the dungeon. And then our last major pushing puzzle of the game. No matter how you do it, it always feels slow. The biggest part of speed tech on this is once a pot starts moving, it still keeps moving until it gets to the end of the next tile. So a lot of the time for speeding this up is maximize trying to get something the next pot push while the other one's still moving. And one of the most awful things in the game. So really nice RNG from those lulls on Phoenomenon side, just so you don't have to switch out of that this current setup, because you want the seeds and feather out for the next few sections. Makes a really tight jump right here. Some Mega Man 2 style. Or some Mega Man style blocks right there. Link just skips right over it all with 2 jumps. Alright, so we got 2 keys now, and we need all those keys to finish off the dungeon on the right hand side. Get to see some great use with the feather and some nice little skips with the feather in this part of the dungeon. So jumping. So every time you jump, the first few frames, Link is committed to go the same direction. Then mid jump is when you'll be able to change directions a little bit. And then, as long as you jump in the correct starting direction, and then you can hold the new direction, you can clear a lot of gaps that was not the original intended solution for these gaps. Those lifelines are pretty spread out this time around. Ideally they'd be close to the water so you can just knock them in and save a few slashes, but these things happen sometimes. And Phoenomenon is running really low on seeds, but fortunately in this screen right here, there are some more Pegasus seeds underneath these 2 pots right here on the bottom. Well, the bottom of the set of 4. Just a few more screens away, and then he'll make his way over to the mini-boss. Meanwhile, Gesellschaft does get her power of spring, so she can make her way over to the rooster, so we can get those bananas and make Moosh happy again. Alright, mini-boss. It's kind of like a mix of Ganon and Aghanim in Link to the Past. You need your torches lit, both torches lit in order to do damage, and then you get little energy balls fired at you. You want to delay lighting the torches at the very beginning, just to make sure you have enough time to get 2 spins in before the first torch goes out, and then want some more Ember Seeds while waiting for the dying animation. One is a backup for the boss of this dungeon, as far as ammo, and two, there's still a lot of Ember Seed usage needs throughout the rest of the game. And then this finally lets us get the item of the dungeon, the slingshot. Whenever you so we have 5 different seeds. We have the Ember Seeds, we have the Mystery Seeds, Scent Seeds, Pegasus Seeds, and Gale Seeds. With the Scent Seeds, if you fire them with the slingshot, they do damage to enemies. With the Ember Seeds, it does the same thing, as well as catch things on fire and light torches. Gale Seeds, they will whisk enemies off screen. And Pegasus Seeds, if you shoot them, they can stun most enemies. So the first thing we do is light those torches and then reset. Has to be the first thing we do, because every time you do a reset or anything within a dungeon, it resets these minecarts' initial position. So we need those torches lit to spawn a chest, and being very careful to not reset before spawning the chest. Okay, pretty fun jump coming up here on Phoenomenom side. Game wants you go off to the far right and then come back across, but if you jump straight right and then diagonally up a little bit, this lets you skip that little section and make your way over to the big key room. And that like tried to get him, but no such luck for like today. One little detour for Phoenomenon before he can make his way over to the boss. He has 0 keys right now, so that chest that we spawned with the torches gives him that final small key. Can be easy to forget to grab sometimes, and very painful when you do. We'll start seeing these Gale Seeds being used as weapons. First one, it can still hit the switches as well. But the screen that he's coming up in, we'll see our first instance of the Riz Robes. They take a lot of hits from the sword to destroy, but with the Gale Seeds and Slingshot, we can just whisk them away pretty fast. Okay, got a little bit of a jump right here to make. Just line up a little bit, doing a buffer to jump across. We're just one screen away from the boss. Alright, so boss number 4 in Oracle Seasons is Goma, making a return from Zelda 1. A little bit of a difference from the fight. I mean, you still want to shoot Goma in the eye, but also comes across has a claw that can block shots, but if you position yourself correctly, you can just bypass the claw. There are 2 different ideas behind this fight. One is you can do 15 shots to the eye and not worry about the claw at all, or worry about destroying the claw, or you can slash the claw 10 times, destroy that, then shoot Goma in the eye 5 times. However, if you destroy the claw, Goma becomes pretty erratic in her movement, and a lot harder to actually nail the shots, and closes her eye more often. So as long as seed tamps are fine, most runners will be just opting to shoot Goma in the eye 15 times. And for this fight, only the Scent Seeds and the Fire Seeds do guaranteed damage, and then Mystery Seeds, when fired, or Mystery Seeds when used, they have a 25% chance of doing the effect of any of the other 4 seeds. Make a quick trip over to Pegasus Seeds to get some more, and then off to Subrosia again by Dungeon 5 so we can get our final season for the rod, Autumn. this trip into Subrosia, it does have a fun little jump sequence to get the item you need so you can unlock the last part of the Temple of Seasons. There's some really fun little jumps with the Pegasus Seeds there. Quick little detour to get it back up to the temple. So we specifically need the bomb flower because for whatever reason the bombs that Link has isn't powerful enough to destroy these rocks. You see these Rosians run away, but Link's like, what can go wrong? And he shows them absolutely nothing. So, not sure what's up with that. Meanwhile, back in Dungeon 4, Gesellschaft is entering the mini-boss fight. And a very clean fight from her as well. Alright, Phoenomenom has gotten his final season and is on his way to back to the entrance so he can make his way back to Dungeon 5. Which is just right around the corner. So, what fall does is it fills holes up with leaves, and it also makes mushrooms ready for the picking. This first mushroom you see, that Phoenomenon just tosses off screen. The game doesn't allow you to have more than one mushroom on screen after it's been picked up. So, just get it off screen because it takes a little bit after it lands before it despawns. So, Dungeon 5, it can be broken up into 3 sections. Section 1, get the item. Section 2, get all your keys. And Section 3, fight the boss. And the item here is the magnetic glove. It has some brokenness attached to it concerning pits, but we'll get into that in a little bit. See how P-Hat RNG treats him today. There's a P-Hat here that likes to hang out by these blocks, and you have to push him out of the way so he can get to the next room. Decided to play defense pretty well on those ones this time. Just like that, we have the item. Alright, so making a quick detour to grab a few keys now. So, if you're over a pit after using the magnet glove on a magnetic object and it's pulling or pushing Link, there is a one-frame window for which Link can jump off out of that. So every time they're gonna do that, you'll see a quick pause buffer or select buffer in order to do that jump. On how oracles work, if you're holding an item button coming out of the menu, it'll let you use that item on the very first frame. This armor room that Phoenomenon's in, you have to keep really good notes about which order you kill them in, because the order you kill them in is the order you have to open those chests. If you open the wrong one, all the chests become anti-fairies, and you have to do that all over again. Okay, and then we're still in the key collection part of this dungeon. Still another 3 to grab. Well, another 2. This one this little trip we have to destroy this enemy and push this block so we can spawn a magnet ball so we can get to the big key later on. And then meanwhile, we'll see how Gesellschaft's Goma fight goes. With these rotating magnet blocks, it actually lets Link walk for a little bit before making him fall, so we don't have to buffer those. Gesellschaft is setting up pretty nicely on the Goma fight, and not running off to the side. She does have to switch over to her Ember Seeds, which is perfectly fine. And then, fortunately for the rest of the game, as far concerning Ember Seed usage, there's normally an easy refill nearby, so using some of those isn't too bad, and 10 is a healthy number for Ember Seeds at this point. Okay. Meanwhile, Phoenomenom gets his last small key needed for this dungeon and makes his way over to the mini-boss. To Sagar the Tiger. Takes quite a few slashes to do. Hoping to see a pattern after you attack him that has him end on the top part of the screen. Some unfortunate RNG on this one. He's going to end up on the bottom left. He's going to want some hearts, or he definitely wants the fairies for this one, because there's a little bit of a skip as far as which rooms to go in, going to the big key. Yep, the game intends you to take a big loop around to get that magnet ball so you can block those fires, but if you move through fast enough, you can just get through them and take a hit or two. They are pretty damaging, but with that full refill, he made it out just fine. He's not going to have too much opportunity to get too many hearts back though before the boss, which can be pretty hard. But one more little side scroller section. And a little skip right there, just to have some faster cycles. Oh, that key's not playing nice. Keys are their worst enemy in the game. They're also the reason why they can't be RNG manipulation for the entire game. They roll RNG every frame, so that's how often they're deciding what actions they're gonna do. So Dig Dogger in Oracle of Seasons, unlike Legend of Zelda, he doesn't get damaged by sound. But we have a nice little spiky ball that can be pushed around the magnet, and that was a really nice one cycle. It takes a few hits to break them apart, and then the mini Dig Doggers, they have a lot of RNG considering their movement, and the spike ball is pretty hard to control with the magnet. So they played out really nice, and Phoenomenom has read them pretty well and got them taken care of like it was nothing. Alright, so there are a few more gems that Phoenomenom needs to grab so we can unlock the path to Dungeon 6 now. The first one is back here by the Pegasus Seed Tree. There's an old man here that gives us a jewel, except he requires you to have beaten the essences for Dungeons 4 and 5, or else he just won't give it to you. The other one is down by the village, which we unlocked along the way to Dungeon 3 a while back. We can see our next trip to the beach, and it'll only use for the mystery seeds in this run. Just gonna be shooting this torch a few times with the mystery seeds, hoping we get the ember seeds. There is a chance that I'll never give you the ember seed effect, but we just risk it anyway to save that menu because we need that mystery seeds to hit that question mark to spawn that Moldorm that's guarding our final jewel. See one quick stock up again on the Pegasus seeds, which is just happens to be right next to the entrance to the Tarn Ruins, which is where one, the Noble Sword lives, as well as where our next dungeon is. The trading sequence in this game, when you complete it, it just tells you the directions on how to get to the Noble Sword. It is completely set. There is no randomness on where it's going to be or how to get there. So, in a little bit we'll see a little season sequence within the same screen of the Lost Woods in this game. And then Giselle is making her way over to her magnet gloves. Entourage not playing very nice on Phoenomenon side. So the hint that you get from the trading sequence is you need to change the seasons from coldest to hottest and keep going left. This takes us to the Noble Sword. Quite an improvement over the Wooden Sword. And with it being one screen out of the way, 5 screen transitions out of the way, there's really no reason to not get this in an any % run. Just makes everything that much easier. And then on top of that, it also lets us just destroy pots and not have to switch to power gloves anymore, or the power bracelet for a lot of instances. Now, to make it to Dungeon 6, it is the same order for the seasons. We still have to go coldest to hottest, except we have to go in a counterclockwise direction for each screen transition, starting with the left. Okay, need to change it to winter here so we can have a path to make it to the top of this little mountain. That was a lot of spears being thrown by that moblin. Well, not a moblin, but... Anyways, with all that, we are getting ready to enter Dungeon 6. With some use of saving quits throughout the dungeon, we get to skip one of the keys that are pretty far out of the way in this dungeon. And get to see a lot of tight jumps in this dungeon as well. And a fun boss. So our first loop around is just to set that rotating platform to the right position so we can get to our first key. And hopefully avoiding those Gyptos. Those guys hit very hard. So we just need to take this magnet ball and get on top of a button that's on the opposite corner of the room. And just like that, do a quick save and quit. Or technically, a save and continue followed by a soft reset. It's a little bit, saves a few frames over just saving and quitting. That little key block there, if that ever gets open, then there's some trouble as far as needing to get that final key in this dungeon. Nice little jump right there. So, the big thing to note in this dungeon, up until the mini-boss of this dungeon is defeated, you cannot, the runners cannot afford to take a death. Die during this dungeon, they have to do some manipulation in the dungeon as far as that rotating platform is concerned, just to make sure they don't use that key up already. Okay, dungeon item in here is the boomerang level 2. This is the only item that's going to damage these armorless enemies, and it's also needed for the boss. Has a lot longer range than the first boomerang, and it also has the effect where you can control its path after you throw it. Meanwhile, Gesellschaft is making our way over to the big key for this dungeon, and then after that, we'll get to see how D-Dogger treats her. Magic Boomerang needs to hit these switches, no other way we can get them. This particular room, Keys decided to play really nice. They like to block their way to that switch. Opting to not refill on hearts at this time. If you use Magic Boomerang on not the anti-fairies, but the little bubbles that fly around the room, they can become fairies to refill. But there's also a fairy that's going to be right inside this pot right here, as well as a guaranteed Pegasus seed drop. This little section, just a race against time so Link doesn't get crushed, but with Pegasus seeds, there's absolutely no danger. So we've got the big key already. We still have not seen the mini boss in this dungeon, so there is still a strong danger to die. We're almost to the mini boss, but we're pretty deep in the dungeon and still don't have a way to recover effectively in case there was an actual death. We just need to grab a key from the floor below so we can enter the mini boss room via. And let's see, looks like this was at least a 2 cycle on Giselle's side. Miss if there was extra cycles beyond that, but it's a hard fight. Controlling the magnet, the spike balls and the magnet ball is pretty difficult. So fire, 3 different attacks you can see him do. One is this flying around, the other was the dashing that we saw in the first round. Flying around can be hard to hit. You have to basically have Link sword face in the opposite direction and jump and release sword at the same time so you can get that 3rd hit. And that was really nice. Only like 2 wasted patterns that you couldn't get. Alright, now, something happens throughout the rest of the dungeon. Phenomenomon's really close to the boss room as is. The big thing that's going on now is, this next room is button RNG. We're always going to be trying to hit that button on the right. Every time you enter, it resets whether or not what its action is going to be. The action we're hoping for is stairs to spawn. So we're at 3 tries. Okay, fourth button, so not the worst. And now we're just 4 screens away from the boss. Just gonna take care of this little Dark Knight here, because he can get caught in the way, and he is immune to being stunned by the boomerang. And now he's set up for the items he needs for the boss. Switch is not playing very nice. Just need to push the trampoline into position. Take a hop up, so we can't. Just need to hit a switch that's just off screen right there. What that switch does is spawn a staircase to the left, which unlocks his path to the boss of this dungeon, Main Handler. Notorious boss from Zelda 1. Unfortunately, this time around, you can't just drop a bomb and get lucky. You have to wait for the heads to open, the mouths to open, and hit it with the magic boomerang. While it doesn't necessarily look like it in this game, the game does have different layers on which objects are. So if Link is jumping when throwing the boomerang, it's actually going to go over Main Handler, and that was a really nice. That was a really nice fight. Then after you destroy the foreheads, Main Handler just kind of wanders around frantically in a figure eight, effectively. Hit it 3 times with the boomerang, exposes the crystal core in the middle, and then 1 slash from the noble sword, and all done. Meanwhile, Gesellschaft is on her way to Dungeon 6 right now. No, I'm taking a quick detour to get some more Pegasus seeds. Getting Dungeon 6 Essence unlocks our dialogue sequence in Subrosia with a convenient portal right in here. There's just enough room to try to get that boomerang in through that little crack, the little gap between the 2 blocks, so might as well use that. It's a little bit shorter of a path. So now we're hopping in to see the captain. What they say is, well, we lost our bow, we can't sail no more, so please go find it. But we just know exactly where to go for that. Just outside the village, there is a desert that had. We'll see the other side of the ship actually from the desert. But the bell itself, it gets sent to a random spot in the desert. They just kind of crash here, and Link has to go find it now. The password here is 2123, starting from the one next to the pirate, and then going left, and then wrap around to the other side. Need to take a quick here to unlock our pirate skull to show up later on. He's just like a little. He's like a metal detector, except just for the bell itself. There are 4 different locations, 4 different sand pits where the bell can be. You'll see the head just kind of clink up and down whenever there's a bell, just like that. So second try is really good. And then unfortunately the bell that we have, it's pretty rusty. Pirate Captain doesn't like it, so. But fortunately for us, we do know a guy in Subrosia that will clean it back up for us. And he's located right by the portal where we first came to Subrosia through. Something I didn't mention, in one of the earlier trips into Subrosia, they had made a special jump, picked up a rock, and just left the screen. This particular rock that we'll see later on, once it's picked up, it stays away forever. And then this gives us a nice little shortcut to get back to the pirate area from here immediately. Yep, and then they just asked if he wants it done, the bell to be cleaned, and Link just says do it. I know it's kind of hard to read, but we just know what it says from the English version. Yep, a few quick hops here, and then this portal is actually really close to where the pirates are. And then talking to the captain when you have a polished bell in your inventory triggers a really long cutscene. Unfortunately, there's a lot of text to mash through throughout this cutscene, so you can't just let it play off and take that big of a break, but you do get a little bit of a breather. The next couple of dungeons both feature pretty tight tricks, so just getting that little chance to mentally prepare yourself is always nice. Meanwhile, Gesellschaft is making her way through Dungeon 6, getting her first key to the dungeon. And she's going to take that long trek over to where the magic boomerang is. And then we'll see that Manhandler fight again. See how that one goes. And then Phoenomenom made that fight look a lot easier than it actually is. Then this particular in the game expects you to take a really long trip to push that button off to the right, but you have just enough room, especially if you are off center from a tile, you can just jump across that gap and skip the rest of the room. Alright, so Phenomenom's break is coming to an end now. About to get control again really soon. Dungeon 7, it is located inside a graveyard. The game wants you to go up a few screens and change the season to summer to make some vines to climb up there. But there's also a back entrance into there that they want you to use along the way out. But it's a small enough gap with Pegasus seeds that you can just jump across and go that way. So Dungeon 7, it basically has 3 mini-boss fights in a sense. There's 2 different Poe sisters, one with the ability of fire, the one that likes to stab people. You fight them both individually. The game wants you to fight them both individually, and then you have to fight them together. In this particular room, Phenom is throwing a bomb here to set up for a skip later on. So those torches, if you have not defeated the first Poe, the torches go out gradually. If they all go completely out, it just sends you back to the very beginning of the dungeon. So he's getting ready to set up for a trick now. You have a few frame tolerance to make it onto the stairs before the final torch goes out completely. The major time save on this one is that key that he just grabbed. The game wants you to use back by the entrance of the dungeon. Ouch, and that one hurts. Off to the right from where he is right now, so you can light some torches to activate the first Poe fight. But if you're successful in getting that trick and make it down onto the stairs, it lets you skip that using that key there and save it later on, so you don't have to use the key to save it, so you don't have to pick up the key at the very end of the dungeon, which is a bit tricky to get sometimes and a lot more RNG dependent. Doing a few menu buffers in here to try to extend that time as each torch goes out. And then doing the skip also means you're not allowed to die at all until you beat the mini-boss, where you fight both the Poe sisters at the same time. Every time you die, you have to redo that skip every single time. Very unfortunate luck on the Armos RNG. In the group of 8 Armos there is one that you can just push around. And he just... Unfortunate that it was the very last one he checked. And then got some guaranteed Pegasus seed drops in these spots right here. Saved himself a little from falling right there. Easy little push button puzzle, just have to make it so that the almost covers all the green tiles and leaves that middle center tile empty. Drops the key. At this point, the game actually expects you to go fight the second post sister right now and come back here with the dungeon item of this, with the item from this dungeon, the Rockscape. But with some precise jumps, first one just needs to be diagonal, the other one you need to change directions mid-jump. You can just make your way over here earlier so that you don't have to make any return trips back to this part of the dungeon. Gets us yet another key. And then, fortunately, last checked armor us again on this one. And now we make our way to the second post sister, the one that we can't skip yet. On this time around, the 4 torches that she guards, it's a water room, and haven't found a way to skip that one yet. So just 2 quick spin slashes, and then she's gone. Or spin, yeah. The room that he's going into right now is the one that is a room much like the one where we skipped the other fight, but swimming is slow, so it's basically impossible to make that one. Meanwhile, Gesellschaft, she is almost at the main handler fight in Dungeon 6. I'm doing a quick reset so in case he falls here, he doesn't have to make that magnet jump anymore. And then setting up, getting his sub-pixel line so we can do a quick jump over this gap with the Pegasus Season Feather and make his way to the chest with the Rockscape. What this does is it's effectively a double jump with a little bit of floating, and then movement in this game becomes wide open on that, especially when combined with Pegasus Seeds. You can skip a lot of things in this. You'll see this in the next dungeon. Handler is not playing very nice with doors, just closing the mouse just in before the boomerang gets connected to them. Ideally, you want to get the boomerang on the other side of main handler. That way, you can hopefully hit multiple heads at the same time. How the boomerang works is once it hits an item, it just returns from there. But if you have it on the return path, if you have it on that return path from the other side, it can hit multiple things at the same time along the way back. And then Dory needs to be very careful. She's one hit away from dying. She has to be in the opposite quadrant of, well, not necessarily opposite, but just can't be on this very close for that head to open up. And then with that, Phoenomenom did the 2 post sisters fight already. Just had to make sure that the torches didn't all go out, because that would stall us to send them back to the beginning of the dungeon. But with them dead now, if he dies for whatever reason, there's that teleport there just to take him back to that spot. Without postcode, he would actually have to come back to that room right before using that key and grab a key from there. So, saves a nice little section. Okay, only thing that's left in this dungeon on Phenomenon's side, he needs to pick up the big key so he can fight the boss. The strats here is just hold right, and then you can just fall right here where you need to be. Just have to do a few spins. The red one you can just put, the green one needs a slash or 2 pokes to die. Okay, and just like that, final reset for this dungeon. Boss is really close, just have to go through this little stair maze again. We might see him opt to destroy a pot to get a fairy, but otherwise the boss isn't that scary. And the Rose decided to block that stair anyways. Alright, boss number 7. We see Gleeok again, makes his return from Legend of Zelda. A little bit scarier this time with a few extra attacks. One that can kind of home around you and make little firewalls around you, and then other ones just kind of spread out. But he also has a surprise second phase as a zombie. Tries to pan on the ground to make you stunned, and then tries to charge into you. But pretty safe, and that's it. And then at this point, Phoenomenom is going to be making his long trek towards Dungeon 8, the final dungeon of this game, that final essence dungeon of the game. That has one of the more recently practiced tricks on an RTA setting, which can easily make or break the run. Meanwhile, let's see how many holes it takes for the Gesellschaft to find the bell. First try is no, second try is no, third try is right here. That's a no. And so oh no! And so if the skull goes off screen while you're doing that segment, or into the wrong hole, he gets reset and sent all the way back to this top right corner of the desert. And at the same time, this also resets where the bell's going to be, so she's going to have to go back and recheck every place she had been before. This leftmost hole is would have been the fourth location she would have checked, but that got reset, and lever's not very nice either, and caused that to reset as well. Meanwhile, Phenomenom's getting ready to destroy a temple by throwing a bomb into there, while this blue subrosion just throws random items that are really nice. Like that banana, that heart piece, those would have came in handy. Okay, so that would have been a third spot on that one for the Rusty Bell. And then Phenom, just making its way through a few caves to find a little stretch on the segment on the way to Dungeon 8. Had to destroy most of the world so we can have access to that cave. And go through this so we can find a portal to Subrosia within the temple itself. And just like that, we're in Dungeon 8, the Sword and Shield maze. Get a few quick keys really fast along the way. In a few screens, we're going to see Phenom start setting up for... It's a double frame perfect trick. I don't know what setup he's going to be doing today. Yesterday there was another setup that was posted on this one for some setups on that one. Okay, we got 2 keys so far. Just a couple screens away from being able to set up for a trick. what this trick is gonna do is, if he gets it, the game intends you to use that key, the first key right there already, and forces you to get the item of this dungeon, the hyper slingshot, and fight a boss, and do a huge loop through this dungeon. So let's see how this goes. And first try, oh my. So he has to jump on the very last frame possible with the subpixel set up perfectly, as well as
Hey guys, Mashy here. So it looks like Phoenix is about to finish up. I know JC, his internet went out, so I'm gonna try and commentate a little bit, at least until Phoenix finishes up. So,
Hello.
looks like he just finished. And we already have him in here. Welcome, Phoenix. GG on the run.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry about all that. Yeah, we were able to finish out with a subpar Dronix fight. I was trying to hop in to try and do commentary, but I see you were able to get in to cover it at the end here.
I was just scrambling to get my stuff together. Just caught the end of your run.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was I'm gonna Are we
So how did
it was very, very, very bad in the first 2 dungeons because I didn't get enough kills to spawn Maple for the power ring strat. And then I also didn't carry out the D2 manip, so that all failed. So I had to rely on the backup strat of the old ringless route, which was a little bit tough in certain dungeons, dungeon 4 in particular.
Okay.
I also missed post skip and then got first try HSS skip, so it's a wash, I guess, overall. Yeah.
Did you go for post skip again after missing it, or?
Yeah. I went.
Okay.
I was gonna keep going until I ran out of seeds, so glad I got it on the second try.
That's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did see you get HSS skip first try. That's about when I tuned in.
Yeah, it was almost a little bit of salt in the wound after having a pretty rough run overall to then get first try. Like, oh, okay. I wish it was always like this. Please, game, why you do this?
But hey, a 146 is still a really solid time for a race.
Yeah, no, it was very clean. It was just I had a rough start. Everything up until Dungeon 7 was pretty.
Oh, Chad is saying,
Yeah,
don't forget to stop your timer.
Sorry, chat. Sorry. Time is a 146.7. Chat. Or 140. Yeah, 146. I was just chef.
So it looks like Giselle is in D7 right now, going for the backup key. So I'm guessing she didn't go for post skip? Or didn't get it?
Unfortunately, I didn't quite catch it as that was time that I was in the middle of trying to hop in.
Yeah, I think that happened as I was pulling up the commentary stream, so I wasn't able to catch it.
I can assure you, chat, that I did dot done. Don't worry. SRL
Yes,
has recorded
you
my
did
time.
dot done in the IRC. I can confirm that. Oh yeah, let me see if I can pull up the commentary controls so I can mark you as done.
I have it up right now. I can mark myself as done. Unless... Alright, so Gesellschaft right now. just aiming to get to the trying to solve this little Dungeon 7 puzzle here. And she has it down. Gonna grab the boss key and then do a quick save and quit to head over to Gliok. Gliok, what a boss. How much easier Gliok is in Oracle of Seasons than in Zelda 1.
It's amazing. It's amazing how much easier Gliok is in this game than in Zelda 1.
It's the power of being able to jump over the things that he shoots at you changes the entire landscape of the battle.
But also the fact that you have so many more hearts at this point.
Yeah, true.
Because I'm used to fighting Gliok with 4 hearts in Zelda 1.
Yeah, that's a bit risky, especially if you get a bad pattern. In this Gliok with his diamond pattern, 4 hearts would be maybe a disaster.
But yeah, Gliok is pretty simple. Just gotta hit both of the heads enough times to detach one and kill the other before the other one comes back, and then you just gotta slash the body enough times.
Because when you cut the heads off, of course, the body turns undead, and you need to kill that as well.
Also make sure to jump when they pounds the ground.
Ooh, cutting it close. 1 heart left, getting the kill though. I had the restream up, and I saw that she had half a heart left at the end of Manhandla as well.
Ooh.
Cutting these last couple of bosses very close.
Yeah.
But getting him done. Getting him done. And
Well, Manhandla is one of those bosses that you're probably gonna end with very low health.
it's true. I'm interested to see, from what I understand, I didn't talk with her, but looking at her stream, it sounds like this is her first like full run through, actually. So
Okay.
I'm interested to see if she has the tech for HSS skip, if she's going to be going for that, or if she's going to be going the intended route.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
But as far as first runs go, this has been like a very, very incredible run to watch. Very impressive. If she does go the intended route, chat, you'll be able to see the second half of, or the middle half, kind of Dungeon 8 that gets skipped out with HSS skip, and you'll get to see the mini-boss fight, potentially.
Yeah, we might actually get to see the hardest boss in the game.
Bipolar's only the hardest boss if you have less than 3 hearts.
Or if you miss with all your mystery seeds.
That's true. I stand by my statement. Middle half. You have a quarter on the front, a quarter on the back, and then you have your middle half. Fight me.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Let's see how she does on the zigzag jump.
I hate this jump so much. I'm surprised at the number of people that I've talked to that played the game casually and didn't actually realize that you're supposed to turn the season to fall in a casual playthrough to just be able to walk over the pits. The number of people that were like, what? I did a speedrunning strat by jumping over that after a bunch of tries? Whoa.
Yeah, because that jump, it just looks like it's possible to a casual person. It's just barely possible, of course, which makes it the speedrun strat.
I've backed myself into a hat. Raining fire down on the land up above. Link doing what good guys do and destroying things so he can get what he wants. I mean, no, saving the world. Different thing. Let's not turn a phrase. My fault. Sorry.
And after all of that, the Subrosian's like, you did it. Cool.
You really think that after all he's been trying to do to get it to go off, he'd give you some sort of reward? Just nothing special, but just like, here's 20 rupees for your trouble, or 20 ore chunks for your trouble.
And it's amazing how many things he has, but he doesn't have a single bomb. Like, you could just sit there and he'll just keep throwing random things into the lava pit, and he'll never pull out a bomb.
They've seen him throw in star ores, blue boxing gloves, boss keys. Where is he getting all of these things, and why are there no bombs anywhere nearby? What's going on? Oh. Oh. Couple of nice can be a little bit dangerous if you're not careful. This jump right here, depending on how the Keiths decide they want to treat you, can also be a bit of a pain. Ooh.
Oh, going for the second jump.
Yeah. That's a decision. I don't go for the second jump still. I should probably learn to do it.
The second jump is a lot trickier than the first one.
You don't have the same inlet that you do on the way down. And just in general, I found that doing jumps upward, she may have accidentally pushed the wrong block.
Yeah, she did.
So she will probably need to... Oh, if she had gotten it right after that, that would have been super swag. Ooh, risking dying. She might want to reset the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gonna reset it and hopefully get the block pushing down.
She's gotta be super careful now. Watch out for the Lionels.
Oh. Getting nervous there. A little nervous with the floating up in the air as Lionels pass by underneath.
At least if she makes it through this next section, there's 2 fairies right before she goes into Dungeon 8.
That is true. Not sure where JC cut out at, so I don't know how much of the run went commentary-less in Dungeon 8.
I know you were doing HSS skip, and then I think that's about where he cut out.
I see. Alright, so now we're gonna see what her strat is gonna be. From what I understand from talking to JC and other people about how Giselle likes to run and learn games, that she likes to learn the difficult tech, so I would not be entirely surprised if she was going to be going for HSS skip, at least at the start for a couple of attempts, but it's just not coming up, so.
It depends on how much time she had to actually learn it and everything, and practice. Right.
I'm hoping for the first try HSS skip. I think
that would
awesome.
Be awesome.
Go for it. She is gonna be taking the intended strat, not.
So we're gonna be seeing the whole dungeon this time.
So, Dungeon 8 is split into 2 main thematic halves. The top half of the dungeon is you see this ice landscape with ice on the ground that you slide all over and everything like that. The bottom half is the inside of the volcano, more or less. So it's all lava, fire, brimstone, all that jazz. So this is what gets cut out. Almost all of the fire in the dungeon gets cut out as a result of HSS skip, aside from the last room before Medusa. So you're gonna experience. Some of you may not have seen Dungeon 8 since the last time you played through this casually, all the way through. But it is for as challenging as HSS skip is, being a double frame perfect trick in a game that runs at 60 FPS, being able to skip out on this part of the dungeon, aside from the time save alone, is just worth it from a play standpoint, because there are a number of there's a puzzle that we skip and a side scroller that we skip that are going to be coming up for Giselle, and
Oh yeah.
oh my goodness,
Those rooms are just awful to do.
oh my goodness.
We'll see them in a little bit. Oh, I'm so glad we can skip those rooms. But also, HSS skip just lets you conserve health. Like, as you can see, she's just getting hit by a lot of fire keys and things as she's going through. And here's a little bit of a skip where you can push the magnet ball from the wrong side, and you can just push it down far enough that you're able to get on top of it and push it over to the side and get through. And you're able to collect the dungeon item, which is the hyper slingshot. Which is why we skip doing the hyper slingshot skip.
There it is. There in the name. But yeah, the hyper slingshot is basically a level 2 slingshot. It shoots out a sort of shotgun spread of 3 seeds, 1 in the middle and then 2 on either side, diagonally going out. But with every shot, she's missing a key. Don't do it. Giselle.
Gotta go back for that key.
You're gonna need that key. Hopefully she recognizes it in time to go back.
Well, she can't get to the mini boss until...
This is a key, so she can.
Oh yeah, she can.
She's gonna find herself in trouble when she tries to open the door down below the boss key chest that opens up towards where the sparks are.
Oh yeah.
The ore or the ice chunks. So if she doesn't recognize, she might find herself a little bit confused in a little bit. So hopefully she remembers it. Playing a dangerous game here, not pulling out the sword for the dark nuts. Okay, she decides to pull it out. Hey, she's at exactly 3 hearts, which is a quarter less heart than you want for Tripolar. But
that's why there's hearts in the pots.
Oh, and she has heart ring. I did not realize that she had picked up heart ring.
Oh, she does. Yeah.
So she's a little bit more of a safety net. This is Tripolar. The thematic boss of the Fire and Ice dungeon is a Fire and Ice being. When he's in fire mode, he shoots out these pillars of fire. When he's in ice mode, he shoots out ice chunks.
I don't think she knows how to fight him properly. Looks like she's mostly spamming the mystery seeds.
Yeah. So the intended way to beat Tripolar, there are 2 ways that you can do it. One is to, when he's in ice mode, he shoots the ice chunk, you break the ice chunk, pick it up, you turn him to fire, pick up the ice chunk and throw it at him to do damage. You can do that 3 times. Or another way you can kill Tripolar, if you really want to test your resolve, is in ice mode you can shoot ember seeds at him, and it takes like 15 or 15ish, I think, ember seeds to kill. Ah.
Oh. Well, hopefully, when she makes her way back, she'll remember to get the key.
Hopefully. And yeah, unfortunately at this point, even if she decided that she wanted to go on a whim and try HSS skip, because if she had at least 1 key remaining, she could still do an HSS skip and cut out everything, or cut out most of the dungeon. But because she has none, she doesn't have enough keys left over to be able to progress.
Yeah, the death to Tripolar is possibly one of the worst deaths in the run. Just because of how long it takes to get there. And because that's the mini-boss, you don't get the warp until after you kill him.
And because that underside of that lava section is so dangerous to your health the whole way through, you can often not end up getting back with more than just a few hearts. Luckily with the heart ring, she'll be regaining the entire time, but still just wants to try and conserve as much of her hearts as possible. Oh. Talking in the chat, Elle saying she might end it. I think the chat wants to see you go on. Chat. Do you want to see Giselle go on? I want to see Giselle go on.
Yeah, I want to see her finish.
We're going for the completion. This is going to be the first completed run for Giselle. That's what's going to happen. We're going all the way.
Chat, send her your energy. Give her all your energy to help her finish.
Ooh, one of the rare occurrences of a wall master in this game. You don't see those very often at all elsewhere in the run. Little bit different from the floor masters, and they just drop from the ceiling and try to grip you out of the sky, or grip you off the ground and take you back to the entrance. Taking things, slowing it down a little bit, making sure she doesn't make any movement errors and fall in the lava too much. Our time slot unfortunately got pushed back due to the previous race. We did not start until a bit later on.
And it looks to me like there's nothing scheduled on this channel for the rest of the night.
So that sounds like we're gonna see a finish. That's what that sounds like to me. As long as Giselle has the will to go on, we will see this finish through. Oh, I didn't know that happened. The Magnet Ball resets. Ooh. So having to do a little bit of backtracking, or not backtracking, but retracking through. Angie has to make that jump again? Oh no, that's the button is unpressed, but the bridge is there.
Yeah, the bridge stays there.
I think she was momentarily tricked by it in the same way that I was as she started to head over towards the button. Not grabbing the key again. Hopefully. I mean, she'll realize at the very least once she gets to the door.
She might not know that that key is there.
True.
Because if she hasn't fully finished the learning through everything.
Yeah. Okay, gain a hidden. I think she's starting to get a feel for the fight. Starting to get a feel for the fight, using those mystery seeds to swap.
So yeah, the optimal way to do this is to get him into the ice phase, have him shoot out an ice pillar, and then use the hyper slingshot to hit both the ice pillar and Fripolar, so that he turns into the fire, and then the ice becomes grabbable, and then you just throw it at him and repeat 3 times.
Unfortunately, not able to get in and grab that second one before Fripolar charges in. Oh.
And realistically, with Heart Ring, she can just camp one side of the room and just run back and forth to regain health if she gets too low.
That is true. And these grass plants in each of the corners do have a chance to drop mystery seeds every time you slash them, and they do grow back, so it's not like a one and done if they don't happen to drop, or if they do, they'll grow back after time. Oh, okay. Getting the idea, understanding what she needs to do, but working on the execution of it.
Yeah, getting the execution right can be quite tricky.
Ah!
Oh.
Okay.
Alright, she's just got to start running around.
Yeah. Just play it safe. Make sure she doesn't end up getting hit anywhere. Regain a couple of hearts with the heart ring. Oh, she's gonna go in, it looks like. I think that's gonna disappear.
Is this it?
Oh my goodness!
Oh, she's got him.
In classic Giselle fashion thus far.
Yeah, just
Killing
being super clutch.
Super clutch right at the end, half a heart remaining, and able to continue forward.
So this is the ice block puzzle that we were alluding to earlier. That's very annoying because Link slides around a lot, and in order to push, you have to be pressing up against the block for like a decent number of frames before it'll actually move. And with the ice physics, you just start sliding around and it gets really annoying.
Yeah.
But it looks like she's got it.
She's got everything figured out, just dealing with those ice physics. And then we go from that beauty of a thing right into the worst side scroller in the game. Right here.
Oh, this is so awful. I do
Ice
not
physics
miss
are
this
fun.
side scroller one bit.
Ice physics are so fun, chat.
And
They're
conveyors.
So fun. Conveyors.
And
ice
swamps.
physics, swamps, blades.
It's just like
it's everything you've ever
everything
wanted.
that is awful.
Yeah. So this is the opportunity to see. There's one more part of the game, or one more part of the dungeon rather, that we're gonna see after Giselle probably realizes that she doesn't have the key that she needs, and we'll have to go back. But we're gonna see a little bit more.
Now we're on the other side of HSS skip. So this is where you end up after doing HSS skip. And that's pretty much everything that you skip. All the way from way back at the beginning of the dungeon all the way till now.
Where is he going?
Maybe she's thinking she missed the key
Oh,
at the beginning.
She might It looks like it, potentially. But she... Oh? I'm not... Ooh. So it looks like her D8 knowledge, unfortunately not... hasn't had enough time to basically practice through and route out. I believe this chest has... I've played so much rando recently, I don't know what's in normally anymore.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten this chest, so I'm not sure.
It might be a ring, honestly.
Yeah, it's probably nothing of importance.
Okay, going back. She is backtracking a little bit,
Okay.
so could potentially end up making her way to where she needs to be. Yeah, to get that chest, you do go up to the top on the right side and shoot from up above and jump down. But okay, here we go. Using the spinner, getting the key that she needs, and we'll be able to progress forward. Going for the save and quit.
Smartly taking the save and quit, because now that she has...
Oh.
Go back. You open the bridge.
Oh no. So she might...
She's gonna go through the underground again.
Oh, unfortunately putting herself through the suffering one more time.
Or maybe she's realizing that she opened the bridge?
You get one taste of the blade traps and suddenly it knocks some sense into you and a little bit of memory. And then she's able to take the save and quit and carry on forward.
Yeah, she probably went back in there and was like, wait a second. I went through this already and I opened up the shortcut.
I don't want to do it again. So now she will be able to just cross this bridge. Again, like Mashi said, this is what HSS skip basically covers, gets rid of, skips over. In addition to one more part a little bit later on that we will see Giselle will have to do as well.
Yeah, because with HSS skip you can save an extra key. So you get to skip one key in the final section of the dungeon, as well as skipping to throw down the ice chunk into one of the sections of the minecart area. She's gonna have to get all the keys and throw all the ice chunks.
I've always found it amusing that the flute can, when you play the flute, it kills all the rabbits. For whatever reason.
Because lore.
Oh! You're right. Absolutely.
It has to stay true to Zelda lore.
She is currently...
She didn't bomb the wall for the Armos.
There's one key that she will need to... Yeah, as you step into that room to the right of the ice chunks, there's a bombable wall there. It's not marked by any X's in the Japanese version, but in the English version of the game, there are the 2 X's there that signify a bombable wall. And I think she will realize that she does need a key when she finds herself unable to progress here. Getting the nice swag, hit by the Stalfos into the throw of the ice chunk into the fire keys as it spawns. And this ice chunk that she's throwing in right now is the one that gets skipped when we do HSS skip. So hopefully she goes for the bombable wall right now. She has her bombs pulled out, so it looks like she is going for it. And she's heading over there. This Armos has a number of patterns. I don't remember the exact number. This pattern that Giselle just got is the slowest pattern and the most unfortunate of all, as it makes like 4 full passes across the horizontally across the pathway before you're able to grab the key.
Yeah, I think for that Armos, there's like 2 or 3 patterns for each of the 2 like sections. So like 2 or 3 patterns for the lower section, and then like 2 or 3 for the top. But there might be a few more. I don't know if I've seen them all.
Throwing her second ice chunk. 2 down, 2 to go. She's gonna throw 1 more in down in the room below where she picks up the ice chunk, and then we'll have to go down that staircase and pick up a couple keys. Three out of 4. Just about there. Excellent. So this is the first key she's grabbing. She does need to grab 1 more, as there are 2 remaining locked doors that she will need to open. Heading for the second one right now. It looks like taking that staircase. So this, going away from.
She needs to go into that staircase that she passed up, and that will lead her to another key that we normally skip when we do HSS skip.
Ooh.
Looks like she doesn't know where that key is.
Ooh. Meanwhile, JC has recovered from his internet outage. No. Wrong staircase.
She's not going to be able to do much.
Yeah, she'll quickly find. This is where she needs to throw in the last ice chunk, but she won't be able to. Oh, if she takes the minecart, she will potentially be able to see the other staircase, and that could point her in the right direction. And it'll actually set up the next chunk throw anyways, so. Okay. So it is what does work in her benefit. She just has. There's only 1 staircase left that she has not gone into, so hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully she'll realize which staircase it is. I think that was the old route through this area, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Oh, she sees the staircase. All right.
There's the staircase.
And now she's going to be on her way. So this is the last section with the final key that we would typically skip. Nothing terribly difficult about it, just a couple of sparks circling some pots. And that's about it. If you touch the Armo statues, they'll come to life, but You just not touch them. Very interesting location for a key. Although most of the keys here are a little bit interestingly placed. So what she's gonna want to do is...
She's gonna want to go back to the bottom right
Yeah.
and go back through it normally, because the minecart's not gonna be in the left position.
That's... So if she just picks up the ice chunk on her way, she will be basically set to go. So hopefully she does just grab it real quick. She will have to just carry it through, be wary of the enemies, all enemies. The blue Wizrobe in particular is well known for ruining my life, so if you can avoid that, that is ideal. As he really likes to make sure that you drop everything. She does need to drop it, I think. Oh, blue Wizrobe, a classic.
Yeah, blue Wizrobe.
A classic, terrible enemy that I hate. Ah, don't jump
and
into
the
the
spike
minecart.
beetles. Everyone.
Everything. There's just so much that can go wrong here, because if you throw the ice chunk off at the edge of a transition screen, it's not like it gets stopped as though it's a invisible wall. It just goes right through and disappears. And if you drop it and get into a minecart or transition the screen, it'll be gone when you come. Wouldn't get it.
And the Shrouded Stalfos too. Like, every
Everything...
single enemy that could have gotten in her way did.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the cruel mistress that is Seasons at times.
But with that, she has cooled off every part of the underground area and made a way to Medusa.
Medusa's head is the only boss in this game that isn't from another Zelda game. It's the only original Seasons only boss. And relative to where it is in the game, being the 8th dungeon boss, it is surprisingly not as difficult or perhaps climactic as you might imagine a last dungeon boss to be. She circles around you, she shoots red orbs and blue orbs. The red orbs, they just do damage to you. The blue orbs will turn you to stone because she's a Medusa. You can know your Zelda lore and your just classic Greek mythology. All the lore.
And she's also one of the very few Zelda bosses that doesn't require the dungeon item to beat. Or at least some version of the dungeon item. In Gleok's case, where you need at least the feather. With that, Giselle has finished all 8 dungeons. Just has to go back to town to get the seed and head over to Onyx's castle.
If you listen closely, you could hear me doing my JC impression with my internet deciding to spike out there for a second.
Hopefully she remembers to go back to town. A lot of newer runners tend to forget that, and they'll go to Onyx's castle and just get turned away. Be like, sorry, you can't come in. Not unless you have the invite.
Unfortunately, the 8 essences alone are not enough to break through the barrier. You also need the Maku seed given by the Maku tree.
Yeah, it's your ticket to the party.
Then you get a nice little sneak peek at Onyx. This is the first time we've seen him since the very start of the game.
Yeah, just to remind you that he exists. and that he's gonna ultimately be the boss that you fight.
Just because, I mean, if you're playing the game casually, you might play it over the course of days or weeks or whatever, and then you might beat the 8th dungeon and have forgotten who the actual final boss of the game is because it's been so long and they never showed up again. Just need to give a little reminder for the kids. Fun fact about the Maku Seed that we're going to use to break the barrier. The way that this barrier works for Onyx's castle, the only required item, despite what you're about to see in this cutscene, is the Maku Seed itself. The 8 essences that show up here aren't requirements by any stretch of the imagination for the process of breaking the barrier. So if somehow someone was to find a way to get the Maku Seed before obtaining the other essences, they would be able to get to Onyx super early and cut an enormous amount of time off the run. Just up until this point, it has been the way the essences are locked behind each other has been very rigid and layered in a way that makes it thus far impossible to do any sort of sequence breaks to that extent.
Yeah, ultimately the Maku Seed is only locked behind Essence 8, but in order to even get into Dungeon 8, you need to throw the bomb into the fire pit, but that guy doesn't exist unless you have the essence from Dungeon 7. But in order to get into Dungeon 7, you have to do the pirate cutscene, and it just keeps going backwards.
It goes all the way to Dungeon 1, and if you remember from the start of the run, when we got to Rosa and did some hide and seek to get to Subrosia, that's locked behind Dungeon 1. So it just triggers and locks all the way down, essentially. Meanwhile, Giselle having a pretty solid Onyx's castle so far. Having to fight Facade. We'll see if Facade's nice. Giving a good first attack. And Fireball's on 2. She did pull her bomb a little bit late. If she had pulled the first one earlier, she would have been able to 2-cycle that. But still, Facade very nice. As she's now going to get into Onyx. And it looks like she may have accidentally stopped her timer. A little bit preemptively.
Yeah. But as long as we have SRL, that'll be fine.
So this is General Onyx. I don't think JC was here for commentary. So Onyx is split into 2 phases. The humanoid phase and the dragonoid phase. The human phase, you need to hit him with spin slashes. It takes 7 spin slashes to the first 7 to make him spawn Din down to act as a shield, and then a second 7 to get to the second phase of the fight. You can use Din as a damage buffer, where if you do a spin slash, hit Onyx and Din, it pauses for a moment to register you taking damage, and then by the time it lets you have control again, you are able to get another damaging hit in on Onyx. So it just speeds up the fight a little bit, and runners use their health as a sort of means of speeding up the fight.
Yeah, his invulnerability frames run out before your stun runs out. So you can get 2 hits per spin. And here's Dragon Onyx, who is definitely not Sigma from Mega Man X.
I only just learned about that like the other day, and I've been running this game for half a decade, and someone posted in the Discord, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, thank you Capcom for doing that.
Yeah, Capcom loved its bosses, so it just reskinned it, and had some fun. But Dronix has 4 main attacks. The one you saw at the start of the fight where he just slams his hand down and you can jump on. We would like that to happen all the time in the perfect world. There's the one where he goes into the corner and slides across. where if you just go to the other corner, you can jump on.
Oh no.
Giselle, unfortunately taking a fall. The more unfortunate part of that, not only does, I mean, the time lost from dying sucks, but she now only has 3 bombs for Facade, which is a place that you really don't want to ever be. Because Facade can give you bomb drops if he does the attack where he spawns a bunch of spiders. But there's no guarantee that attack will happen anytime soon, and there's no guarantee that the spiders will even drop bombs.
Yeah,
so it's a
the
sort of
drop
double
rate
whammy.
from those spiders is really dumb.
I find that when you have enough...
just waiting for the spiders for like 10 minutes, and then I get the spiders, and then they don't drop bombs. Then I have to wait for the spiders to come back.
Oh, reset in the fight, trying to look to see if there are any bombs around. I don't think she's gonna find any.
No.
Grabbing the fairy. If she could leave Onyx's castle and Gale Seed back to the main town to go to the shop and purchase some bombs, but we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Looks like she's just gonna go straight in again and hope to get lucky with some bomb drops.
So someone's asking how long it took you to get HSS skip in chat.
Oh, my chat did not reload. I ended up getting first try HSS skip in my run through. So, despite missing the far easier trick of post skip, because that's how this game works.
Oh, and Giselle getting a bomb drop from the Dark Nuts.
That is incredibly lucky. And back in Facade now with 7 bombs. 7 bombs is still not necessarily the amount of bombs.
It's good enough to get through. But if you're gonna be missing some shots...
Yeah. Alright, she got 4 hits in. She should be fine. She pulled that bomb late. I'm worried. Okay. If Facade had done holes there was a chance that the bomb would not have exploded in time. I'm not 100% sure on the timing.
And
Luckily,
she's doing the smart backup of getting the bombs from the pot.
There's also a very good backup that I was informed about by some of the other runners, where if you just do a save as you come into Onyx's castle, if you died Onyx, you can just do a soft reset and you'll have your bombs back and not have to worry about it at all. Just as a sort of precaution. In for round 2 on Onyx though. Second try is the charm. Getting a double hit there as Onyx pulls off the tornado attack, which is terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, the tornado is definitely his worst attack.
Ooh, okay. Clearing out the first phase of Onyx, having a good amount of hearts, and with heart skip, I know some runners that after they when they have heart ring, after they do the first phase, they run around for as long as they can up top when they are low on health to try to regain hearts before even hopping down to fight Dragon Onyx.
Yeah, she hasn't been moving around all that much.
Okay. So in total, she needs 8 spin slashes. So she's on 1 right now. Two. That's a poke, so that will not count as a full spin slash. 2.5, if you will.
Yeah.
Three and a half.
Like with Heart Ring, during this fight, while you're waiting for his attacks, you just go back and forth a little bit, just to keep those counters up and start recovering some health.
Four and a half. This is not a good attack.
Yeah, the balls are definitely the worst attack, because they're random and there's so many of them, and it can just be really difficult to avoid them.
But she's not giving in. She's gonna keep on going in one more time. 3rd time's the charm. That's actually the same. And she has the bombs because she went to pick them up.
Like, this last little bit is no joke when you're first learning the run. I think my first, like, couple attempts, it took me like 20 minutes just to get through Onyx's castle.
Grabbing the bombs for safety. It is definitely hard. Dronix, I mean, even in the run that I just completed, anyone that's watching that is familiar with the fight and runs the game is aware of how not fast I did that fight. And I've always struggled with that boss, even still. A very solid amount. Grabbing the backup bomb, still just a good idea. Just as a safety precaution. She goes in for round 3. Alright, getting to the second part of phase 1 with Din coming down. Gonna want to knock Din away. And, I mean, at this point it'd be a good... Oh, that was... She is playing a risky game with tornadoes out and about right now.
Yeah, the ultimate goal is just to get to the Dragon Onyx with as much health as possible, and right now she's in pretty good shape.
She was pretty good shape. That was a very good second part of that phase 1. Getting 2 of the double damage hits using Din as her buffer, her stun buffer. Alright. 1, 2. Okay, she gets 2 before falling off for the first time. Not able to get on the hand as Dronix swipes on over. Only need 6 more. 3. That's 4.
Halfway
there. This is a good. That's very good. Very good. Only 1 blue fire. 5. 6. 7. 1 more.
One more, and of course she gets the balls.
I know. It's unfortunate. If she can just survive through this.
Just dance. Just gotta dance.
Alright, alright.
Alright, this should be it.
There we go.
GG.
GG's to Giselle. Finishing strong. Finishing with an SRL time of 2:46.12.
And you know what? She actually saved in. I don't see the Din being saved on the other screen there.
I'm not saying that on my computer right now I still have alright, I'm not saying that Onyx is still alive, right? Or not alive, but Dronix is still on my screen. So luckily we play by last hit.
Yep. Yeah, that is true.
Otherwise, you are correct. I would be in some big trouble. But that is the first full run through for Giselle. Finishing strong, despite not having a whole lot of experience with Dungeon 8 and with the Onyx Castle.
And clutching out a lot of those boss fights.
Absolutely. I was... Yeah, Dungeon 6 and Dungeon 7. And then Fripolar. I don't know if we're too late to do interview. Oh, she's in here. Filling the Discord. Oh.
So we're joined here by Giselle. GG.
GG's.
GG's.
So
congratulations on the run.
From what I understand, it's your first full run through of the game.
It's my first full run. Through the game at all, and I never actually practiced Dungeon 8 onwards, so obviously there was some memory issues in regards to the rest of the run and a little bit nerves, but then at the very end, like, I watched the video an hour before the race. I hope I remember most of it.
Well, you still did a pretty good job overall.
And I mean, we were just talking about the number of clutch boss fights you had, especially towards the latter dungeons, with your Manhandla ending on half a heart, and then Gliok ending on 1 heart remaining. Playing it super close there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because that one boss, I like practiced it once or twice and like, okay, yeah, this is free, no problem. And then I messed up. I'm like, wait, what? what do I do now? Because yeah, just on my memory going into it, was a little bit lacking. The Manhandla is like weird. The boss before that, I forget their name, but with the Magnet Gloves, really enjoyed that boss, but unfortunately I couldn't get 1 cycle on that one.
Dig Dogger, yeah, Dig Dogger can be a huge hindrance to 1 cycles early on in the learning. Yeah,
a lot of the bosses are really fun. It's just like literally I haven't had a lot of time to practice and whatnot, but from here on forward it'll definitely go a lot better.
Yeah, I definitely hope to see some more improvement. From what I could see, it looked like you had a pretty good grasp on, at least up to that point, up to D8. You knew what you were doing, and then just gotta learn the rest of the run a little bit.
Yeah, I'll probably just go straight to, well, obviously I need to practice HSS, but I imagine I'll probably just end up practicing and going straight into that for the rest of the run. A lot of the tricks and whatnot I really enjoy. Like execution is a thing that I really enjoy in speed games, and obviously I messed up a lot of little things, but honestly I think like just practice and doing runs here and whatnot will go good. And Really like the game. It's always been one of my favorite games. And but between timing and everything, it was a little bit unfortunate in terms of scheduling. But I mean, also got to start somewhere, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I'd heard from JC and from a number of people that your general speedrunning, you enjoy just going for the really hard tricks and the execution right away. So I was almost half expecting you, despite not knowing that you had not done a full run, to just go for the HSS skip anyways. And I'm sure that if you had had like another week, you probably would have.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but definitely like execution and tricks. Like coming from fighting games and whatnot, like doing a lot of combos and little different things, it's like there's a certain thrill in that. And even if my play is a little bit unstable, I definitely have the most joy going for things like that. And then over time, it starts to solidify. Obviously, you kind of have to play by ear. If something is, far too obtuse or obnoxious to really end up going for, then you have to, put more on the back burner. But yeah, no, just really enjoy, and I'm hoping to get a lot more solid the next few days here.
So yeah, anything else that you'd like to talk about the run?
Not in particular. There was like a thing or two that was kind of musing on, but nothing in specific. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of like little things I could say, but I don't think they matter too much. But no, can't really think of anything. It was a lot of fun. Glad I remembered most everything. A little hiccup here or there, but yeah. And yeah, of course, GG's.
GG's.
And GG to both of you. Looks like your next round opponents still have not played. That's going to be the match between Mighty and Stanner. Winner plays Phoenomenom, and loser plays Giselle. That match is going to be coming to you on Tuesday.
Yeah, I was looking at the bracket, and it's pretty interesting. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, because I ended up getting bomb seed, running out of time, which is fine. But it's like, oh, like the next opponent, should be very difficult. So it's pretty interesting. But it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to more Oracle seasons.
Uh-huh.
And with that, I think it's about time for us to wrap it up. Looks like pretty much everything for the night is about finishing up on speed gaming. So there's probably not much for you to watch. I think you might still be able to catch a little bit of Luigi's Mansion on Speed Gaming 1, or some Zelda 1 randomizer on Speed Gaming 3, but those should be finishing shortly. Otherwise, the next time we're going to be here for Oracle of Seasons is going to be on Tuesday, as far as we know right now. The second round matches have not begun scheduling yet. So maybe we'll see something within the next day or two, or otherwise we'll see you back on Tuesday for that. My name's Mashy. I'm here with Phoenomenom, who was the winner of this race, and Giselle. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.